Hi. Now we're going to be talking about, so if you've watched some of our other videos, you've learned about pocket knives, and you've learned about belt clip knives, and you've learned about a little bit about saws. We're going to talk about fixed blade knives and why, in my opinion, they replace the hatchet. So if I have room, I'll take both of them. But if I could only choose one, I'll choose a fixed blade knife every time. So what are kind of the things I look for in a fixed blade knife? Does it have to be $1 million? No. Some of my favorite fixed blade knives are a knife just like this. It's what the mountain men carried for years. It's basically a butcher's knife. You can get online. Old Hickory makes them. This happens to be a stainless steel version. I like the actual straight steel, carbon steel versions, which are a little nicer. And they'll run right around $6 to $12, mattering where you see it. So full tang, meaning that the blade is going to go from the tip all the way to the handle, and that's important in batoning, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Riveted on or screwed on type handles, so they're able to be done there. I'm not a big fan of wood handles because they tend to swell when they get wet and become a little slicker, but a real good quality knife. I like something in the 6-inch range. This one happens to be one of their 7-inch, 8-inch versions, so I like something a little shorter than that. You can get into the 4-inch range, you know, where you're getting 4 or 5 inches, and it will do most things. It's going to get it you going, but I really like, I think the kind of the all-around knife is going to be your 6-inch knife. Now this is an SE6. I like plastic sheaths because if you fill them full of fish guts or animal guts or whatever it is you're cutting up, they work really well in that idea. I like plastic versus Kydex. Kydex in this area gets really hot and they can actually remold on you, so they won't stay tight. This is the micarta handles, so they tend to, you can sand them like your standard wood handles, and they tend to be grippy-ish when wet. Not as grippy as they are normally, but grippy-ish. So I like a 6-inch blade. I like something that comes to an actual point, has a nice little, you know, choil underneath for me to be able to choke up if I'm doing real fine work. You know, if I'm just sitting here and I'm just doing this, I don't want to be clear back here and doing that. So if I'm just trying to get little chips for starting fires or whatever that may be, you know, something like that is going to be there. I like these because they're not carbon. These are carbon steel knives. This is 1095 carbon steel. They are easier to sharpen in the woods, and also they will rust. So they put this black coating on the outside to keep them from rusting. Something to think about. Stainless steel, in my opinion, is a lower quality steel versus a high carbon steel blade. These are made in the USA. I tell everybody, look for knives that are either made in one of 3 areas. Japan, Europe is in Sweden, Germany, or that area, sorry. And then you've got your American-made knives. Those are the only 3 places I even, you know, remotely talk about. So, something to think about. It doesn't have any straps, doesn't have anything. It's a plastic retention. It is adjustable to a certain point. You can tighten it down, and you can actually heat them up in the water and make them a little tighter if they get loose. But something to think about. I like metal clips, so they're easy to pop on and off. You know, kind of a nice idea there. So for a full out, you know, full tang, you know, like I said, I like a 3/16 thick. I don't like the 1/4 inch. I think that's a little too thick. 3/16 work really good, and a complete flat grind, so it's actually going to be ground all the way to the edge completely, and we'll just have a micro bevel on the end. So nice little grip on top to keep it from sliding out of your hand if you're hunting with it, things like that. Another one that I kind of recommend, I like the Mora Knives. If you want something cheap to get your kids, I get these for my kids every Christmas. They're a great little thing. Your 4-inch to 6-inch blades on these guys, you're looking, you know, $12 to $15. They lose it, who cares? They have a little hole. You want to make sure if you've got a plastic sheath, you at least either drill a hole or it comes with a hole, and that allows the water to drain out if you want to flush out the fish guts. These are great fishing knives. They also do real good for making little, you know, feather sticks if you want to do that. You know, feather sticks are always, I'm atrocious at it, but if you wanted to practice, this is the knife to practice that particular item. You can baton with them. Not the best knife in the world to baton with, but all around a pretty great knife. Nice and light. You know, you can hang them on your neck. You can put them in your coat pockets. They almost don't weigh anything at all, so it's not really a big issue. Like I said, that's kind of where we're looking at. We're always kind of looking for that. Is it usable? Is it light enough to actually carry? You know, everybody wants to carry a bazooka when they go out to the woods, but that's not feasible. So some in the 6-inch range. Now, what is batoning? So why does it replace the hatchet? Hatchets, you're actually going to sit there, put your hand up here, and split. Now, some people will lay them on the ground and split. I don't think that works as well. And it's still, again, we're whacking something into something else. That's always a chance of having issues. So batoning means I'm going to take my knife, I'm going to stick it on the edge here. I'm going to use another wooden object, not another metal object. We're not hitting it with a hammer or anything like that. You can actually cause a fracture in the steel if you do it with another hard object. So we want something, a consumable, something, you know, a hard wood or softer wood works really great. We're going to go ahead and tap it. Now, a lot of times it doesn't split that nice right off the bat. This just happens to be some pine 2x4. But it allows me, if I wanted to, I can sit there and tap it all the way through, and I can make toothpicks out of this stuff. You know, so I can just keep, and I can take even this, try chopping that with a hatchet, and let's see if I can even get it to work, you know, and split it down and get down to where we're getting to points where we can really make a decent fire with a knife like this. We can even sit there and turn these into feather sticks too, and get it down to where you can really get a decent cut on them. And if you're using one of these little Mora knives, I mean, you can make feather sticks out of these all day long. I mean, they're just razor sharp out of the box. If you're not good with sharpening knives, this is definitely the knife to have if you want to make feather sticks. So, again, 4 to 6 inches, full tang, meaning that the blade is going to go all the way from the tip all the way to the bottom of the handle. That keeps it from breaking when you're batoning. That is the only thing that the Mora does not have. It has what they call a rat tail in the handle, but they tend to hold up pretty well for that. If you break one, you're out 15 bucks. It's not the end of the world. A plastic sheath versus a leather sheath. Leather tends to kind of get rotty if you try to, you know, you fish with it, hunt with it, kind of things like that, and they'll dry out and they'll crack. They also have to have buckles, which I don't care for. I like having something I can slide right in. Something non-stainless steel, preferably, that's been coated. I always put a sharpening, I always sharpen the back end of my saw for using on flint and steel type applications. Works a lot better than your little striker you get with the flint and steel. I always etch my name in them. That's why I don't lose them. Made in the U.S. or, like I said, Sweden, Germany, U.S., and Japan. That's about the only companies I buy knives from, period. Now you got to watch, just because this company sells, most of their knives are made in U.S. Like, let's say Benchmade. Big fan of Benchmade. A bunch of their knives are made in Japan or China. So even worse, you know, they got some stuff out there that's just absolute trash. They also have some of the best knives ever made. So just kind of keep that in mind. Big fan of SE6s. I think that's a great knife for what you get. I always wrap them with paracord. I always put a fire steel in there, a couple Ranger bands, a little piece of jute rope, and I can basically hand me that and I'll go survive for a couple days. It'll work just fine. So something to think about. Things I kind of stay away from. These are kind of all-in-one knives where they have the little hook on the back. If you like the gut hook idea, buy the gut hook that has the replaceable razor blades in it. Works 100 times better. These are really hard to stay sharp. Yeah, they're going to be able to skin out a rabbit or something like that. But it also takes up a lot of your hitting area. So if you're using it, you can actually snap that tip off. And it tends to make a blade really, really dull for any kind of work where you're trying to stab in and actually cut something. So I like a blade, like I said, that's a little bit more feathered out to a point, that I found is a little bit more useful. Again, nice plastic handle, though, or sheath, and nice handle that's not going to expand or give you good grip. Something that's got a little ripple to it's not going to hurt none either. So, as always, guys, leave messages, hit like and share at the bottom. Tell us what you'd like to see next time. So our next video is going to be on axes. So go ahead and search for the next video in there. We have all kinds of videos on our site. So, as always, have a great day.